Hello fellow modelers, Bruce here. In a recent update video on the layout, I said that my summer goal was to complete the backdrops on both the upper level and the lower level. And then I would start working on the Mid-Peninsula View Block Mountain. And so I've been working, and the bottom level black backdrop is done. Its entire, well, I guess it's a little over 16-foot length. And it was time to start working on the upper level. And that's what this video will be about. We'll just show you how I'm going to proceed and my ideas on this. So on we go. So if you recall, on the lower level, I started by sketching the outline of the mountain right on the backdrop in pencil, and then came back and started gluing pieces of foliage clusters onto the backdrop, interspersed with rock strata that was made from ceiling tiles. So you can see the overall shape of the mountaintops, and the fact that the lower backdrop is now done. At a certain point it transitions into a photo backdrop that's going to be under the peninsula and a lot harder to see. So I thought I would do the same kind of thing on the upper level, but instead of using ceiling tiles for the rock strata, I have cast a lot of plaster rock face castings, and I'll be using those. I just have some set up there right now. If you look, what I have here is the remnants of a photo backdrop where I cut the sky off of the mountains. Now I did that probably about 2002, 2003 on my old layout, and I saved the upper portions for some bizarre unknown reason. My wife would tell you I never throw anything out, but anyway, yeah, been carrying this around for 20 years, and that's what I have used on the lower level to give me the shape of the mountaintops. And I'm going to do that up here too. You can see I have it folded around the corner. The sky backdrop on the upper level is 2 inches higher than on the lower level. On the lower level, I put this upper edge of the photo sky right up on the top of the sky backdrop, and then just sketch the mountain. And since this backdrop is 2 inches taller, I thought I would start by measuring 2 inches down and putting that on there. Now that I have the rock, plaster castings in place, I'm thinking I might raise that up just a little bit. After I piece together everything and fill in with plaster and carve it, I will put the foliage cluster on top as trees. And I'm thinking I want this just a little bit more space between to allow me to do a little bit more with the rock casting. So I might move it up another ½ inch or inch or so, and then begin gluing the plaster castings to the masonite, and then fill in with plaster, then color it, and then put in the foliage later. So that'll be the rest of this video. Talk to you again soon. Okay, continuing on with the backdrop on the upper level. We're now at the awkward stage of gluing rock face castings onto the backdrop. It's awkward because you see all the gaps between it, and they're still plaster colored and so forth. So let me just do a quick update here, tell you what's going on. I have in a previous video, I showed you how I cast all these rock faces getting prepared for this. I'm up to the point now where I want to stop for the moment, cut in the gap for the river on the top level that will have the covered bridge, and in the meantime get this half done so you can see what it's going to look like. So the adhesive that I'm using here, Loctite Power Grab, Instant Grab Heavy Duty. There's a lot of caulk adhesives that would work well on this. Just make sure that they work on plaster or masonry and non-porous surface like the masonite. And this works very well. And one of the reasons I like it is that as soon as you put it on the back of the casting and press it against the masonite, and then I just kind of move it around a little bit in a small circular motion, spreading the caulk around on the back. When you leave go, it stays put right where you had it. So first all the bigger castings were caulked in place, and then I broke up some smaller pieces and filled in some of the gaps. And that's where we stand right now. I'm going to let it dry overnight. And tomorrow I will mix up a batch of plaster of Paris, small batches at a time, and come back and fill in all the gaps that I've created that exist between these castings. And then as it starts to stiffen up a little bit, I'll come back with a dental pick and carve in some of the grain of the rock to match what's there. When that's done, or while it's in progress, I'll continue this video. Okay, I've gotten back to working on the backdrop up on the upper level of my layout, the Slate Run portion. And I think when I last did an update, you saw I was adhering these with adhesive caulk, and I haven't gotten back to it until yesterday. And the thing I have to do now is mix up plaster of Paris and fill in all these gaps between the castings. So let me swing over to where I've done that, and you can see that the plaster of Paris that I applied yesterday is not fully dried yet, because you can see it's a different color. Over on the far right, over here, the plaster that I put in is now as white as the rest, but the rest of it is still drying. I'm not going to stain it until it does turn white. And so in the meantime, I'm going to continue working my way to the left, filling in all the gaps. So not my favorite part of the job, but not all that difficult, just a pain in the neck. Mix up the plaster of Paris, make it fairly thick, which unfortunately also means it's going to set quicker. Apply it with a palette knife. Once it's somewhat dry, I come back with this particular dental tool, which is a little flat blade, and come back in and just carve some grooves and so forth into it to look like the rock strata around it. So let's just come in a little bit closer on that. Maybe you can see what I've done here with this one. So, that's just kind of the process. Once I'm done all the way to the left and it's dried, I'll come back and start staining the rock, and then finally applying, let's zoom back out here, applying the foliage clusters up here above to finish out the mountain. So next, when you see me, I'll be doing the staining and then finally applying the foliage. Talk to you soon. Alrighty, here we are. The plaster that I have put between all the gaps of the rock castings is now dry to the point where it's the same color as the castings are. And so now it's time to go on to the next step in this process, which is to color those rocks. And the first part of that, if you ever saw my video on painting rock castings in a few easy steps, is I give it all a wash of my alcohol and India ink mix, which is for this purpose probably about 1.5 teaspoons of black India ink to a pint of 91% isopropyl alcohol. So that's what I'm about to do. Color these rocks. First step. Well, I'm at the point on the backdrop here where I'm putting some light gray highlights using a dry brushing technique, getting a little on a broad brush and getting most of it off, and then just dragging it across the ridges that are on the rock castings. This rock turned out darker than I wanted it, and so I'm going a little heavier on the highlights than I might normally do, just to lighten the whole casting up a bit. And I just, after pondering it for a while and trying to figure out some approaches to take, every one of which made it darker, decided I'm going to live with it. And by the time I put some structures in front of it and some trees in front of it, I think it'll be fine. Yeah, sometimes you find yourselves in these corners, literally in this case, where you just don't quite know what to do. And I got to tell you that I lost a bit of sleep on this one. At one point considering ripping it all out and starting again, but I think this'll do all right. I think you can see that it's the highlights, the lighter gray highlights that I'm putting in here are popping out a bit and helping it look a little better, a little less dark. So I'm going to continue to do this on the rest of this rock work, and then start putting some green foam on top to get an idea what it's like. I'll come back to the video then. Take care. In the previous update on the backdrop on the upper level, I told you that I had gotten this rock work over here a little darker than I wanted it. And if you saw my little short video on experimenting with white India ink wash, you see I finally ended up with some success, and I did indeed go over all of this rock with the white wash, and it did help. So I now have tints of brown and gray, and not as starkly dark as it had been. So I'm proceeding with my adding the foliage clusters, woodland scenic foliage clusters, above the rock work, following the pattern I had penciled in earlier. So it's just a matter of taking some of the clusters, breaking them up into smaller pieces, and then with hot glue, adding it to the backdrop, staying within those lines that I sketched for the mountaintops, and alternating the medium green, which is the darker of these two, with the light green along the way. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. And glue gun is still your best friend, even though it gives you all these darn strings that you have to deal with later on. There we go. And so I just proceed along the way, picking out pieces that I have previously ripped apart and adding new glue sticks whenever I have to. Another set of hands would come in handy, otherwise you use your chin. Alrighty. And that's all there is to it. It's a little time consuming, but certainly not difficult, so I will just continue doing this. At some point I have to place an order for more of both the light green and the medium green foliage clusters. But in the meantime, I can proceed with some other work and wait for that to come in. It's not a showstopper by any means. Got plenty of other projects in the hopper that I can skip over to. And that's pretty much the way you proceed. The overall look when you get done is really not bad. I'm going to stick down a little bit above the top of the rock work to give it a look like some of it is growing down. Let me just get out of your way a minute and let you take a look at that. The overall look I'll show you in a minute when I'm done with this and clean up a little bit. I'll put a couple structures there and give you the idea of what it's going to look like. All right, so be back when I'm ready to do that. Okay, here you can see that I have finished putting the foliage along the sky backdrop up to the point where I had colored the rocks in their final colors. This I had stopped on because these I thought were getting too dark, but now that I see that I can use that white India ink wash effectively, I will continue with another coat of stain on the rest of these castings to get it to look like this, and then put on the white wash, and then continue putting the foliage along the top. So yeah, proceeding. A little bit behind where I thought I would be this summer, but I built more structures than I thought I was going to. I told you I'd put a structure or so in there so you can see kind of what's coming here. Let me zoom in a bit. So down at this end of this shelf will be an engine servicing facility for my Slate Run railroad. Some dual gauge trackage on the inside and narrow gauge HON3 on the outside, and there'll be water tank and sand facility, etc., etc. But you get the idea here at least. Just out of sight a little bit to the left here, eventually what will happen is I will cut a stream in, and that's where the covered bridge that I built this summer will go. So I think you're getting the idea. I'm just going to continue doing this, and you probably won't see an update on this upper deck backdrop until I have the stream cut in and we're all the way up to that point. But just to let you know, I'm progressing. And that's it for this update. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have not yet done so, please subscribe, because I'm going to continue posting probably 2 videos a week, one on Tuesday, one on Friday, at least up until Thanksgiving. And then I might, because it does take time to do these things, I might just go down to 1 video on Friday and try to get more quality modeling time in. So that's it. Thanks for following along. Take care.